So in last week's video, I talked a little bit about the confusion between business analytics and business analysis. And we looked at the website of EDX, which is a large institutional course provider. And we saw how EDX basically had a page called business analysis, but when we looked at the courses, we realized that there were no actual business analysis courses there. All the courses that they had listed there were either business analytics, business intelligence, data analysis courses. But the way that they had packaged it up and the way that they had blended the words analysis and analytics would mislead most people into thinking that the courses that they're offering are analysis skills. And they're blending two completely different professions. Now, this week I want to talk to you about this job posting that I have found here on LinkedIn, because this job posting actually creates the same type of confusion, but now this is the confusion that's coming from an employer, not an education provider, right? And what this employer has done is they've basically listed this job as a business analyst role. And in most real business analyst roles, typically you'll have the words business analyst, and then you'll have a dash or a comma, and you'll see something that denotes the domain or the system that they want you to specialize in, right? So they've written it in the same pattern, but when we look at the skills for this job, you'll start to realize very quickly that this isn't actually a business analyst role. It's a business analytics role that they've mistitled as a business analyst role. So the way that they've titled it here is they've said business analyst, brand marketing, and people analytics. The word analytics right there may or may not give it away to you right away. But if we scroll down to the requirements section of this role and we see what they're actually looking for in terms of skill sets, it'll be crystal clear to you that this is not a business analyst role. And I've put together a quick little Venn diagram that I want to walk you through to actually explain the difference between analytics and analysis roles. But first, let's just look at some of the requirements that they have, right? They're saying that they want 3+ years of experience in business analytics or business intelligence. Right away, that's not a business analyst role, right? They're looking for experience with business intelligence tools. Tableau, for example, is a very popular BI data warehousing reporting tool. And essentially what these tools are it's a suite of software that accumulates data from a lot of different sources inside the company, and it lets the business intelligence team inside the company do reporting on that data. Now, these business intelligence teams in most companies, they can be part of IT. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're part of the business. But business analysts, the type of business analysts that we are, we don't often take part in those types of projects unless you're a business analyst that specializes in business intelligence, right? Those types of roles, a few of them exist. But again, what this is not even that. What they're looking for here is somebody with a strong programming background that can help them do data science related work. They've just mistitled this job as a business analyst role. And part of the other reason that I say that is that the next line here tells us that they want you to have experience with many different scripting languages. Now, unless you're a programmer or if you're a very, very technical systems analyst, you're not going to understand how to do any kind of scripting in R or Python, or you're not going to know how to use MATLAB at all, right? SQL, this can confuse you a little bit because you do see some business analyst roles that ask you for SQL, right? But business analyst roles will not ask you for R or Python. Those types of business analyst roles that do are not actually business analyst roles. They're typically data science, business analytics roles that are mistitled as business analyst roles, right? And so if we look at the rest of this, you'll see again, it's one thing after another that they ask for here really has to do with trying to figure out either how to accumulate data or how to make sense of the data that's been accumulated. And the skills that they're looking for in this role are all centered around that. Now, if we were to look at the little Venn diagram that I've drawn out for you, hopefully looking at a Venn diagram like this can kind of help you to understand the difference between these two different roles so that you no longer have to rely on external education providers to tell you the difference between the two roles. And even if an employer mislabels their job title, you should be able to actually tell for yourself whether that's a business analysis role or not. And typically what you're going to see in the difference between these two roles is that most business analyst roles are going to ask you to do things like business requirements. They're going to ask you to do things like functional specifications, use cases, and wireframes. A lot of them will ask you to do process design work. Some of the tools that they'll ask you to have are things like Visio, Word, SharePoint, Jira. Those are the types of skills that most business analysts use in an enterprise context. Okay. Now, if you were to look at business analytics role, you're going to see a lot more skills like this. And if you see many of these different skills that they're looking for in the requirements section of the job posting, you should automatically disqualify that as a business analytics role, regardless of what the title is or regardless of what the employer is looking for. This is, if they're looking for these types of skills, these are not the type of skills that we as business analysts acquire, right? These are the types of skills that usually former programmers, mathematicians, a lot of times will acquire to do data science related work, okay? So if you're to look at, for example, they'll have the word data science, they'll have the word data warehousing, business intelligence. Those are very common terms. If you see those should be very strong indicators that this isn't a business analyst role. If they ask you for qualifications in mathematics, things like probability or statistics, then that should be a dead giveaway that that's probably not a business analysis role. That is a data science or a business intelligence related role. If you see Python, Perl, R, these are scripting languages. If you see those, then immediately you can write that job application off as being more of a business intelligence or a business or a data analytics role versus a business analysis role, right? So this is a quick and handy little list of the types of skills that can tell you on your own without having to rely on the employer or anybody else to tell you whether you should be looking at this as something that you want to apply for or not. Hopefully this gives you a little bit more clarity in terms of your own career development, because if you continue to get confused over these two different roles, there's a chance that you might spend some of your time trying to learn Python or Perl or some of the other things that they're asking for, not really actually realizing that you're not actually going to be using those skills in your business analysis job. In like 99% of the cases, you're not going to need any of those types of skills, right? SQL is a skill that gets asked for in both business analysis roles. Some of the technical business analyst roles will ask for SQL, and most business analytics or most business intelligence job postings will ask you to have SQL, because SQL is such a critical tool for extracting data out of systems. And some systems analysts will do that for some reporting needs, but it is typically a skill that they want more of a business systems analyst to have. If you're more of a process analyst or if you're a generalist BA, they might not necessarily even ask you to have SQL. It might be a skill that you want to learn to try to have in your tool belt to kind of expand your horizons a little bit. But for most of business analysts, what you want to be doing is you want to be focusing on this skill set that really falls in this area of the Venn diagram here, which is all of the core business analysis skills that most employers look for. Okay, so hopefully this video has been a little bit more eye-opening in terms of what types of roles you should be looking for and what kind of skills these roles should be saying that they want for business analysts versus business intelligence roles. I'll see you in the next video.